Good morning everyone. Once again, we just meet with another prose piece, Dream Children, a Reverie, written by Charles Lamb. So you all know about Charles Lamb, and surely you all know about Dream Children because it's his masterpiece, Dream Children, a Reverie. First we will see about Charles Lamb. So Charles Lamb belongs to 1775 to 1834. He is an English essayist and poet, and more than that, he is an antiquarian. So what is antiquarian? He has got lot of interest in antique pieces and old ornaments and old monuments and old pieces of things. And he has got this kind of liking towards antique piece, and it is reflected in all his essays and especially in this essay Dream Children. Let us see what is in Dream Children. And he is a stutter. I hope you all know what is a stutter. He gets stammering while he is speaking, and he has got some kind of complex towards it, but as a writer he can write any writings and he can use any kind of vocabulary at any time. That is his skill. And he wants to hide that kind of stammering in his writings. And he got all the power while he is writing instead of speaking. So he forgets everything while he is writing something. And he wants to prove that he has got all the communication skill only through written language, not through spoken language. And one more important thing, look at his personal life. He has got so many tragedies in his life, and the death of his mother and the death of his beloved. And more than that, he has to take care of his own sister, Mary Lamb. And all these things, all the tragic events, he handled more smoothly and more positively, and he wanted to remove all his sadness and all his depression through his writings. So he used his communication, that is written communication, as a tool to get rid of all his sadness, to get rid of all his complex, and he wanted to prove that he has got all the power as a writer. Whatever he could not do in his real life, he wanted to do in his imagination. He used his imagination in a perfect way, and he used his imagination to get rid of his tragic events in his life. He used his imaginary power and he used his communicative power to get rid of all these things. And look at his power. But at the same time, he never blamed anyone. He never blamed even God. He never even blamed fate. Instead of that, he accepted his fate. And instead of that, he just wanted to dominate his likings towards antiquities. His liking towards old things. He just echoed. He just explored everything in his writings. And one of the finest example is Dream Children. And he published his essays in the name of Essays of Elia. Elia, I hope you all know, that is the nickname of Charles Lamb, and that is his pet name, Essays of Elia. And all his essays are more lovable because it is more simple and it happened everybody's life. So whenever we are reading his essays, we ourselves can enjoy because we ourselves could have experienced the same thing what Lamb experienced. And more than that, along with his sister, he published Tales from Shakespeare. He is fond of Shakespeare's dramas, and he just abridged Shakespeare's plays along with his sister and published as Tales from Shakespeare. And his fondest childhood memories, especially the time spent with Mrs. Field, that is his grandmother, Lamb's grandmother, Mrs. Field, his maternal grandmother, and in Lodge country house. These two things are unforgettable in Lamb's life. The moments he spent with Mrs. Field, his maternal grandmother, and the moments he spent in a large country house in Blacksware. And this is not their own house. This is not the own house of his maternal grandmother. That is, the maternal grandmother's duty is to take care of that particular grand house. It's a very rich house. The owner is somewhere else, but her duty is to take care of that house. But that duty was done by his grandmother perfectly. She thought as if she herself is the owner of that house. She arranged each and everything in a proper way. She just managed everyone in the house beautifully, and she just controlled everyone in the house very, very skillfully. So that was admired by Lamb, and it is reflected in this essay, Dream Children, a Reverie. So I just want to explain the title, or else the meaning of the title, Dream Children. As we all know, Lamb does not have any children, and Lamb does not have any married life, but he wanted to imagine. He wanted to imagine that he has got a happy married life, and he just wanted to have children, not a child, but he wanted to have children, one boy and one girl, and that's why he named them as Dream Children. A Reverie. So the subtitle as a Reverie. A Reverie means a daydream. So even though we all know that it is not true, he wants to dream that, not only at night but also in day. He wanted to have that dream forever. With that dream only, he can get rid of that tragic event in his life. So that's why he has given the title Dream Children, a Reverie. So what are the things he talked about his childhood memories in Dream Children? First, he wanted to tell something about children. And what is the liking of all the children? Children love to hear stories. So he imagined two children. One is Alice and another one is John. An interesting fact behind naming the children. Who is Alice? Alice is Lamb's beloved. So he wanted to name the girl child as Alice and the boy child as John because Lamb's elder brother is John. So he just loved these people, and that's why he named his dream children as Alice and John. And more than that, they love to hear stories. Usually all the children love to hear stories. And these two children also love to hear stories. And Lamb was very happy to tell the stories of his grandmother Field. So once again, he just wanted to write something about the persons whom he loved. One is Alice and another one is John, and that's why he just named the two children as Alice and John, and he just imagined that two children even though they are not real, and those children wanted to hear the stories about Lamb's grandmother Field. So he just told something about his grandmother, how generous she was and how beautifully she managed the house and how lovable she is to all the grandchildren, and especially to Lamb because he is very soft and he is very lovable. So that's why grandmother liked him very much. All these stories are told by Lamb to these two children, which is the opening part of that essay. So the children love to hear stories, and that's why Lamb used his skill to narrate the stories in his essay. While he is telling about his grandmother, he is talking about the ballad and he is talking about the tales in that area, that is in Norfolk. That is the place where that country house was situated, and in Norfolk, what are all the tales popular? And he just tells about those tales and the ornaments as well as the monuments as well as each and every picture in the wall in that country house was explained by Lamb to those children, and how he admired when he was a child, because he was fond of his childhood memories. He always indulged himself with the childhood memories. So he could remember each and everything in the walls of that country house. So he explained everything to those children. But the children never wanted to hear all these stories, but they wanted to hear about the grandmother. And again he used these words, very good and very much religious his grandmother was. She is so good and she is a religious woman, and that's why everyone loves her. Not only the grandchildren, but all the villagers love her, and they have got some kind of kindness and some kind of affection towards their grandmother, and that was explained by lamb to those children. That is the first part. And that in the first part itself we can come across the grandmother, that is Mrs. Field, and whatever experiences as a young child lamb has got. And one thing he just explained to those children, in that country house there is a beautiful garden, and there is a garden as well as an orchard is also there. So many flowers are there, so many fruits are there. The children have love towards the fruits because they plucked fruits and they just ate it. But unlike all the children, our lamb has got liking towards the fish pond there. And he explained it very beautifully. That fish pond was very quiet, very calm. So instead of being in the orchard and the flowers, in the midst of flowers, he wanted to be near the fish pond. He wanted to enjoy the loneliness. He wanted to enjoy the peace. He wanted to enjoy the joy there in the fish pond. So these two places are explained in detail by Charles Lamb. But at that moment, what are these children doing? Alice and John, they got hunger. Once Lamb was explaining about the orchard and the fruits there in the country house. These children are hunger, and our John has taken one plate full of grapes and he is eating the grapes. So you just imagine, Lamb himself imagined these two children, and he imagined the actions of those two children, and he is telling that being a child, I just wanted to be in the fish pond. But contradictory to that, he mastered his imagination that as a child, John loves to eat something and Alice loves to read something. And that's what, being a child, Lamb could not get the possibility to be a child. Even though he was a child, in his life, he could not enjoy his childhood. And it was reflected in his writings, and he imagined that at least these two children can enjoy their childhood. And these two children can enjoy whatever a child does. And John is eating something, and that was described beautifully by Lamb. And that is the mastery of a writer here. More than a child, Lamb becomes a writer here. And the next one is about his elder brother John. So he is describing about his elder brother John, one who is riding horses very skillfully. And he is very skillful in riding horses, and he is a young gentleman, and he looks very handsome. Always he carries lamb. But Lamb could not carry his elder John when he could not walk, when he became old. And that guiltiness was still in the heart of Lamb, and it was expressed in this essay. I could not carry my brother, and that was my guilty consciousness, as Lamb himself told. So not only his memories, not only his happiness, also his guilty consciousness was also expressed by Lamb through those children. But these two children, no, Alice and John, they are not at all interested in listening to the stories of elder brother John. They just wanted to say something, hear something about the grandmother, because she is so good, she is so religious, and she loves grandchildren. And that's why these two children also love to hear the stories of the grandmother. And at last what happened? That is the last part of the essay. So they just imagine, Lamb imagine elders and Alice and John are dream children, and Lamb's longingness to be a child again, and Lamb's imagination, everything we can enjoy in that essay. And line by line, he just expressed his longingness to become a child like Alice and John. And his longingness was fulfilled through the imagination of these two children, Alice and John. So he lived in a mansion, and the great grandmother Field, she is so good and she is so religious, and she recited Psalms, New Testament. More than that, she is a great dancer, but she was stricken by cancer and kept good spirits all over the village. One more important thing here is, the grandmother believed in infant ghost. Whenever she slept, she could see two ghosts of children, but she is not scared about it. At the same time, Lamb was much scared. Lamb could not sleep alone. Always she sleep with the help of a maid in that country house. But the grandmother could see the ghost of the children, as Lamb told. And so he is terrified of ghost there. And he wandered all the mansion grounds and admired marble busts in that country house. And he picked fruits, and more than orchards, he likes the silent fish ponds. Okay. And what about his elder brother John? He loved him most. He is very handsome. Brother John is very handsome, great spirited, and he can ride horses. He carried lame-footed Elia, and Elia was much sorrowful about his death. Okay. And what happened to Lamb now? Because one thing you just imagine, in that essay he is writing about the people. The first one is grandmother. The second one is John. They are not here. They are no more. And one more thing is, he imagined two children, Alice and John. What happened to them? So he accepted the fact that the grandmother and elder brother John were not there. But now, progressively, slowly, Alice and John, those two children also vanished. So because he told the fact that grandmother believed in the ghost of the infants, but he could not believe. But now, at the end of the essay, at the end of his writing, these two children vanished. They vanquished, and they just slowly moved away from Charles Lamb, and he realized the fact that they are dream children. They are not real. They are his imagination. And it is very, very difficult for Lamb to accept the fact that they are not real. They are just his dream. And more than that, whenever he imagined about Alice, he just looked in the eyes of Alice exactly the mother Alice. The mother Alice means none but the beloved of Lamb. So he just looked at Alice's eyes, and he was satisfied that still his beloved was living. But those children are vanishing now. So full of fantasy. The writing is full of fantasy. But when it comes to reality, everything went away from Lamb. So he just mingled reality with fantasy. Whenever we are reading that essay, we ourselves can forget the fact that Lamb doesn't have these relations. We can enjoy those persons, enjoy those memories. We can enjoy the experiences of Lamb. The children disappear, and disembodied voice. There is no voice there. So still, he just look at the eyes of Alice, and he can see Mother Alice there. And now he realized nobody is there except only one person, that is Mary Lamb. That is his reality. He has to take care of his sister. Mary Lamb. And she was referred here by Bridget. Bridget was standing by his side. That is reality. And all the other things happened so far are just dreams. Just dreams. So what is a dream? Our life itself is a dream, or we have got dream in our life? That is a question mark. Our life itself is a dream, is a philosophy. But in our life, we have got so many dreams. If it happens in our real life, our life will be very, very beautiful. And that is the attitude of Lamb. To focus on imagination, to forget reality. Because his reality was very, very pathetic. He can accept that reality, but he wish that the imagination can be a medicine to forget the reality. The reality is very painful for Lamb. So he wanted to forget that. He wanted to forget the reality with the help of imagination, dream, and his writings. And that's why E.V. Lucas is a great critic, and he told that the most lovable figure in English literature is Charles Lamb because of his essays. His life is pathetic, but he never expressed pathetic life in his essays. Instead of that, he was very, very cheerful, and he made the readers cheerful. That's why it's considered as a unique essay. A dream, logic, and a flow of literature is there. It's full of long sentences, no paragraph breaks. That is the imagination of Lamb. And repetition of words there, so good, so religious. While he was describing about his grandmother, he repeatedly said, so good, so religious. And savvy twist at the end of the essay. We ourselves can't bear that. And ripped from dream to reality with his sister. That is the end of the essay, Dream Children, a Reverie. So it blurs genre lines because it is not considered as an essay, it is not considered as a fiction here. We can't consider simply as an imagination. And fictional narrative inside a dream, and all the fictional elements are there because the characters, children, marriage to Alice, and Field, grandmother, and John's death, all the incidents are narrated by Lamb. And fantasy's version of real life, Brother John Lamb. And typically it's full of non-fiction. So it just blurs the boundary of genres. We can consider this as an essay. Also, we can consider this as fiction. So it's full of metaphor and the writer's vital impulse to order something. Whatever he could not do in his original life, in real life, he just wanted to do it in his essay as a writer. And he determines nature and form of creation. So this is an essay modeled on a dream, and fantasy fuels creative energies, and that's what I told you. And even though it's a fantasy, it only gives fuel to his creation. It only gives energy to the imagination. It only gives energy to his writings. So blurring past life fantasy and writing practice. So we can consider these three things while we are reading Dream Children. It's full of nostalgic, and literariness is also there, and something very cool. It's not serious. We can enjoy that. We forget ourselves. That is the main purpose of literature. Thank you.